if I remember correctly, Andrea was married to a woman, and Deanne here
Oh, yeah.
took the wife Cheryl. But it looks like Cheryl is here today too.
Yes.
Everybody.
Okay.
They put this off from last week to this week. Cheryl and Deanne work together.
Mayor, I'm going to kick you out.
How about Benton? You could hit your wife on the courtroom steps
if you
here
want
in
to watch the rest of the document,
South Carolina or
in
Columbia
YouTube right now. If you go to district court, just search YouTube for Clark County District Court. If you want to watch.
Oh, somebody's at Andrea's house too. A new woman.
I thought that Andrea was Creed framing, but her new thick woman.
Ms.
That was a big girl.
Island. I know I ask you this every time. How to pronounce?
That's right, JD. That's right.
Don't be in that hospital where she works.
Yes. Graham and Cheryl Island, I see is connected as well.
I want to see Cheryl.
Yeah, that is. Oh, that's great.
Because Deanne is definitely older than Andrea.
Mute yourself.
So that's her new
lover. It's like watching the new version of Catfish when they almost appear because Cheryl's name just came out.
If you're in the same place, you can just use the same.
It's like watching Catfish.
That's easier for you.
Just turn.
Yeah, that's fine.
Jal?
Why don't you girls just cuddle up?
Are you guys aware there's that poly relationship type thing, maybe?
Oh, gosh.
Come on, Cheryl.
Come on, Cheryl.
Now we're both just on my phone.
Okay, perfect. That's usually the easier way to do it.
Okay.
So I'll swear everybody in. If you could all raise your right hands. And,
where's Cheryl?
Do you swear or affirm the evidence you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but?
She's got her girlfriend.
I do.
Okay. Yeah. I think everybody says yes. Does anybody say no? No. Okay. So let's see here. I've got your what is the easiest way to do this?
Andrew's got the better rack. I'll say that.
Let's start with Ms. Graham's case because she filed it first, and then we'll.
If you remember, Deanne, Miss Graham had a case. Then Andrea had a counter case.
You filed two cases, one against each of the respondents. And I have some notes. I also have your petition here in front of me if I need to refer to it.
Come on, he's drinking a beer here in harassment court.
If you'd like to just go ahead and tell me what your concerns are, or how the respondents have been harassing you, you're welcome to do that. I will probably interrupt you with some questions, so I apologize in advance for that.
Okay, well, it started like almost a year ago when those two were separated. Cheryl and I started dating, and wasn't soon after that where I guess Andrea found out how happy we were and wanted her back. So that went back and forth for a while. In the summertime,
I'm confused.
Yeah. We were not really seeing each other, and then we started up again, and Andrea found out that we were seeing each other again, and they both zoomed back to the house, and Andrea was going to come at me with a shotgun, and Cheryl had to wrestle that out of her hand, in which Andrea was arrested and tased for that. And then we didn't talk and see each other for a while. And every single time it was Cheryl was the one that was messaging me. Like, she's the one that reached out all the time. And I had told her that she needs to let me go and leave me alone, in which she doesn't. She won't leave me alone. And then she gets a hold of me in January. I've been with Legacy Salmon Creek in the emergency room for 18 years since they've opened, and with Legacy for 20 years. 2 days before she started there, she's like, I'm going to be a Legacy employee. And I'm like, what? And she goes, yeah, I'm going to be an ED screener, in which that is where I work in my department. Out of all the jobs that she could have gotten in Vancouver, she chose to come to where I work,
knowing
that it's unwanted and knowing that
she just
it's
wants
going to cause problems. and it has, because Cheryl told Andrea that I was working. This was a few weeks ago, and they brought their daughter in, their adult daughter. And I was in pit that day, and my job when I do that is I call people back to rooms. I go out to the waiting room and call people back through EKGs.
Computer's a squirter.
And so I'm out there a lot. And she went and told my boss that I did nothing but harass her that day, which we have video footage that didn't happen. I didn't even make eye contact with her. And the waiting room was so full that day that we had asked visitors to leave. And she did not leave.
Oh, this hot
and
lesbian
so
action.
2 days later, I get called in my boss's office telling me that she goes, well, do you know Miss Island? And I said, which one? And she goes, Andrea. And I said, yeah, I know her. I said, that's my ex's wife.
I know that bitch.
And she goes, well, she called and
homewrecker.
Said all these things about you, like I was doing stuff out of my job code, which I wasn't. I was doing exactly what my job is. This is where I work, and they chose to come to the hospital where I work when all her surgeons for her daughter are at the other hospital. And so then she proceeded to tell my boss and the HR people that I'm sleeping with her wife and they're probably having sex at work, and told them a lot of intimate details. And my boss is like, well, you're not even the patient, so you can't really be the one to call. And so they made their daughter call and file, harassment charges against my job, which my boss is like, it sounds just like a jealousy issue.
Wow.
And Cheryl has left notes on my car.
Wow.
And I just cannot work around her.
Wow.
There is 3 or 2 other places that she can go if she wants to still work in the hospital.
Wow.
That she can be moved to, so she's not in my face and harassing me at work.
Wow.
When did she leave a note for you?
It's
the one time it was
when
I came in for a migraine because of all this stuff. I was in there. I didn't want her to come, comfort me. She tried. I pushed her away. Then she found out what room I was in, came back to my room, and proceeded to hold my hand and try to rub my head, which I moved my hand and just didn't engage with her. And she was trying to answer the questions that the nurse was asking me. And then when she finally got the message that I didn't want her in the room, she left.
When was that?
She didn't like that look. She just gave her you did that.
It was probably a month ago.
Okay.
Does Andrea and her break up immediately?
But she's only been there 3 months.
On call.
I've been there 19 years. I've never had an issue ever at work.
And are you still both working in the emergency department?
Yes. And there's 2 other places in the hospital that she can go as a screener, and she chooses not to. And why? Because she wants to be near me. And there's lots of other hospitals that she can go to too. She's already told me that she won't let me go.
It's kind of disrespectful that Cheryl's
she can't let me go because she's madly in love with me.
Chewing gum.
And I've asked her to stop. I've asked her to move. She even told me she was going to move hospitals.
Either way, we know Cheryl has an insatiable oral fixation.
And she won't.
Does Cheryl get a chance to talk?
I've got a lot of people at work too that could back me up, and my boss even said that if you needed more information about the incident that happened between Andrea and calling my boss in HR, that she'd be more than happy to talk to you.
Hey, no, if that's true though, that JG, if that were the case, yeah, that's
you can't be messing around with somebody's job. You gotta leave.
Could you tell me about
loving at home?
You submitted some messages.
Messages.
These here.
He's going to read them.
I've got messages from both parties, and it looks like they're between the parties. So probably everyone's got these, but we'll go through them.
Well, we have.
So
please.
Ms. Graham submitted this. We're kind of.
And Your Honor, can you speak up when you read
those messages? I don't know if you can see that, but basically it's from Andrea to, I'm guessing, to Ms. Graham. Is that right, Ms. Graham?
Yes. And then,
on...
sure, I wanted to say that before all this happened, I was the face, which is when you come in the door, I'm the one that does all the vitals. She come over and asked to see my phone, got into my phone and deleted all the messages between me and her and me and Andrea, because she knew something like this was going to happen. And so there went like all my evidence of a lot of the harassment.
Damn.
And her wanting to be with me and just won't leave me alone.
Tell me how great I am in bed, Your Honor. Best she ever had.
Okay, John, that's funny.
These messages where it says, it's easier to share these, but it says, tell her wife says, fuck off, missed audio call, tell her to leave my fucking life alone. Better yet, tell her I'll move her shit myself. Do you know who and when and what that series of texts is?
That was because Andrea had sent me a letter, which I gave to you, saying that, Cheryl asked her to marry her again and all this kind of stuff. And I was calling to tell Cheryl to tell her to leave me alone.
Cheryl, making sure you
why is she sending me stuff to my house and showing up at my house?
Your Honor, can I speak on that real quick?
1 second. I do want to hear from you, but
thank you.
Ms. Graham, anything else you wanted to add? And you could talk about either of the islands if you want to.
I just want them to leave me alone, Your Honor. That's all I want. I want to be able to go to work and not have to worry about being harassed, being stared at, because that's what she does when I'm at work, is constantly just stare at me. It makes me uncomfortable,
like, and
it makes everybody else uncomfortable. And I've told her, you need to go away and leave me alone. Let me go so I can move on with my life. And she keeps popping up.
Oh yeah, we got.
And then her showing up at my work. And then she would tell me other stuff. I don't know if you want to hear this, but she's obsessed with me. She would spray. I have a certain kind of spray that she would, that she loves. And she tells me that she lays there and masturbates to it.
Oh,
and I don't need to hear that. I don't need that shit in my life. Oh, she won't leave me alone.
Wow. No cursing in court, ma'am. It's a classic.
And now my job is my safe place where I love my job. I've been there so long. I love all the people that I work with, but now I have to see her every single day there, and it's not fair to me. And when she would come for her appointments, she told me that she used to sit out by my car and just stare at my car.
Smell my car seat.
And that was Cheryl?
Yes.
No, Andrea. Oh, Andrea just wrote something to Cheryl. She's not happy.
Yes.
Yeah, they were just whispering.
I have a lot of this on text, Your Honor, too, but she deleted all that from my phone.
Strategic move.
What do you think the smell was?
I'd love. What fragrance was that? Jovan Musk for women, Your Honor.
Andrea has told me that she wants me to go effing kill myself, and I should rot in effing hell. And this is the shit that I've been putting up with, and I can't do it
anymore. Shit is just as bad as F, ma'am.
And now they're coming to my place of employment and harassing me.
I think we got it, Deanne.
Making me getting called into the office when I've never been called in the office.
Keep going, Deanne.
It's affected my life a lot. And enough's enough.
I kind of feel that way.
And she keeps running back to me.
I
blocked her on everything. I've had to change my phone number. And
I know we have some.
Wouldn't be surprised if she would either one of them would fake an injury to come in there and see me and harass me.
Andrea kind of looks a little mad though.
Yeah, she doesn't seem happy about
me
this.
For just using first names. I don't mean to be disrespectful, but has Cheryl, since this order has been in place, has she had any contact with you at work?
No, because she's been on leave and on vacation, but starting Sunday, she works the same days as I do. And so, Your Honor, I'm asking that we need to either reword that so she cannot work in the emergency department, or she needs to go up and be a screener up in the Sky Bridge where I don't ever have to see her, because we do share a cafeteria. We share a time clock. We share a coffee shop.
We share
a lot with Sharon.
And she had no desire.
Marital
she didn't even work up until then. She could have worked anywhere. And she chose to come to where I work in the same department.
Andrea's
and she told me she came there so she could see me without her wife knowing. She lied to her wife about we even seen each other at work.
Cheryl is
so that she could be near me,
by the way,
and see me every day.
Yeah, and Andrea's in the butterfly.
We get it.
3 and 4 are admitted. Okay,
she is very full of herself.
Dave Miller,
I know we have
Cheryl
people
Andrea
here that
if you want
to are lesbians and things.
Okay.
But
so this is Andrea.
Andrea is the hottest
Hi.
one, right?
So a couple things to address really quick. One thing that she did say was that with the complaint that they called my daughter to have her do that, that never happened, sir, Your Honor.
It did.
Can I finish talking, Your Honor?
You didn't say a word while you did Deanna.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so I did make a complaint, and it was because I felt very uncomfortable. It was overwhelming. She continued to go out there to the lobby. I did go to that hospital, and I'll tell you the reason why. I can't see you, Your Honor. I went to the Legacy Salmon Creek ED because my daughter had a bad experience at Peace Health. My daughter was on drugs, and she had a head-on collision, and she almost died. She had open heart surgery. A lot of things happened.
Oh my goodness.
So long story short, we ended up going to Legacy Salmon Creek Emergency Department because my wife was there. Not because Deanne was there, because her mother was there. I came with her because she couldn't walk. She couldn't stand.
Andrea sounds so much more sane right now.
She can walk to her car. It's fine.
And so we went there.
Ms. Graham, could you please not interrupt?
Okay.
And put your clothes back on, please.
So we went there. And my priority was my daughter's care. I didn't care about Deanne. I honestly did not know Deanne was working that day. Cheryl never told me she was working that day. Again, this was my daughter's choice of place. We've been going to Legacy for years. Very rarely have I gone to Peace Health Medical Center. So having that said, yes, there was a complaint because I was very uncomfortable because she kept going out. She purposely called my daughter's name. That was actually the nurse's job. And I actually talked to HR about that. That was agreed upon. I never talked about detail on them having sex in the hospital because I didn't know that, nor was that my concern. I did mention that they were having an affair, and it was really difficult for me because she kept coming out. Matter of fact, there was one point in time that she literally went right in front of me and parked a patient right next to us. There was plenty of room.
No judgments until everybody is spoken
to do that. So, and the text message where I was telling her to F off and all that stuff, that message on Facebook, she messaged through Mandy Smith. And I happened to see it on my wife's phone because my wife was in the shower and I was in the bedroom. She messaged Cheryl and she texted through that saying that she loves and misses her and wanted Cheryl to text her. And so I said, F off, this is her wife. Okay. And the reason I went to her apartment was because my wife was there and they were sleeping together. I did not pound on the door, Your Honor. I knocked on the door. And if she does have the ring, you can see that on the other time that I went there as well. I was very respectful. Deanne came to the door. My wife did not come out. Deanne did. And we spoke calmly, but there was never honestly a resolution. At no point in time did Deanne tell me to leave or not come back. I left on my own because I was hurt and upset of the situation. I did return another time and was told that Deanne was in the shower. I thanked her roommate and left.
Yeah, she's reading
I'm to assume that that is on video, so you can see it if that's what happened. I agree that I did reach out to Deanne. I also told her in the letter that I would not reach out to her again, and I never did. My intention is not to harm her anyway. I just wanted clear honesty.
And Molly one thinks
So this has been
Deanne,
gone
not
for a
Deanne,
while.
but Cheryl looks like
Well,
Michael
Deanne
Moore.
reached out to me through her friend Mandy Smith on social media, wanting to meet up and discuss her relationship between her and my wife. My wife and I agreed to meet with her at Applebee's during this discussion.
Applebee's, of course.
Meet at Applebee's, my apologies. During this discussion, she was insistent that I go through her phone and look at the nasty texts between her and my wife. She actually physically handed me her phone and said, I want you to see everything. And so, of course, I took her phone and I looked through it. If she was afraid of me and threatened by me, she wouldn't have came. She also wouldn't have given me her phone to go through. She also wouldn't have messaged me to talk to me. And this is the second time, Your Honor. She also did this another time. And we met up at Red Robin. And during that time, she was insistent to be in detail on what she was doing sexually with my wife and told me how she wanted to marry my wife.
And we also had bottomless fries.
Clearly,
there.
She wasn't afraid of me. And during the conversation there, Deanne threatened to beat me up. And I told her that she wouldn't win. And then she continued to say that she would kick my ass. She also told my wife at another time at the emergency room, after the situation of me calling the HR, she told my wife if she saw me outside of there that she was going to kick my ass and beat me up. So during the
sorry to interrupt.
So the time was when we went to the emergency room with my daughter. Cheryl had told me that was during that time. Cheryl, she told Cheryl that she was going to kick my ass outside of the hospital. So then back to Applebee's on March 7th was Applebee's. Deanne threatened me during that time at the place. And I also said, you know, she wouldn't win, and she kept going how she was going to beat me up there. She then ended up throwing a full glass of ice water at my wife and myself before leaving, storming out of there, not paying her bill. The managers, Michelle and Eric, are very aware of the situation on what had happened. I actually called there, and the waitress that cleaned up the mess. So there's that. And unfortunately, again, like I said, this is the second meetup with Deanne that she has requested for me, not me. And that she wanted to tell me explicitly about her sexual relations with my wife and how she wanted to marry my wife and just all these things, which of course is very hurting.
As court reporter, I needed to get
and I did not threaten her.
Deanne, and that's all I got was her thumb.
So Your Honor, I seriously feel that Deanne is doing this in retaliation and that this is very angry. She's angry at my wife and I because we're working on our marriage.
Of course she is.
I don't feel the restraining order is needed. I honestly have no reason or want to be near Deanne whatsoever. I don't want to have anything to do with her anymore. I don't even want her in my life. You know, and I hope it doesn't occur, but if something happens between her and my wife again, I've told Deanne I'm divorced from my wife, and I told my wife the same thing. Enough is enough. I've been hurt too much. This is the third time, Your Honor. And Deanne actually is the one that keeps coming and keeps texting and keeps messaging and keeps wanting to talk.
Habitual cheater.
I was never told to leave at the emergency room, by the way, Your Honor. Nobody ever came up and told me to leave. And if they did, I would have left. I would never do that. I don't feel I should pay her court fees because I never threatened her. And again, she is the one that reached out, and she's the one that's angry and is hurt and feels the only reason that this is going to get some tissues for her. She wanted my wife to stay with her and not to stay with me. And that's why the situation has literally blown up to where it is at this point in time.
Your Honor, can I respond?
Well, hang on a second. I'll give you a chance to speak again.
The covering that up is so weird.
So childish.
Go ahead. for Andrea?
I'm sorry.
Looks bad.
That's pretty much it. I just kind of feel that this is all overwhelming. And again, yes, like I said, I did want to talk to her, but again, at the last moment, I did stop. I didn't continue anything by any means, and I didn't threaten. When she brought up the charges that happened before all of this, a lot of those were allegations because my daughter was on drugs, unfortunately. And she had made a comment to you just earlier that I went to the house to get the shotgun to shoot her.
I need to hear.
No, that is
Cheryl's
absolute lie. I never threatened her with the shotgun. No, I did not do that. Nor was that ever proven. And there was a different reason why things happened at the house that day. And that is none of her concern, Your Honor. So I think that, again, a lot of this that she's bringing in is what happened in the past that I was very hurt and upset about. And then again, here we go again, being hurt and upset about the situation. But with all this said and done, what just happened, not one time was there a threat against her with me.
Question for Ms. Actually, before I ask that question, Ms. Cheryl Island, anything you'd like to add?
Oh yeah. I'm pretty much the crux of all the problems here, obviously. So I have something that I wrote up that I would like to read if I could. So on Saturday, March 5th, while Deanne was in California on vacation, I sent her a text via messenger telling her that I had made the decision to work on my marriage and would no longer be romantically involved with her. She had known prior to that time that I was going back and forth trying to choose between who I wanted to be with, and she was fully aware of that. And she knew that the decision that I was going to make was going to be coming up at any time. After I told her I no longer wanted to be involved with her, I blocked all communication with her. That was on March 5th. Monday, March 7th, when I got off of work at approximately 3:35 in the afternoon, when I went out to my car in the hospital parking garage, she had parked next to my car and was standing next to her car waiting for me. I told her I couldn't talk to her, that I needed to get home for an appointment.
Can you hear it?
She insisted on talking to me about my decision to stay with my wife. She said that Andrea cannot make me happy, that only she can. Told me again how much she loves me, that I am her one and only person, and that she would have married me that very day if she could. I told her how sorry I was for hurting her, for breaking her heart. She said, I don't know how you can sleep at night, and that she was going to tell Andrea everything about her and I.
Be safe.
She was extremely upset, angry, and tore out of the parking garage. When I got home, my wife showed me a text message from Deanne to her requesting a meeting to discuss our relationship and to bring Cheryl. The three of us, so this would now be about 2 hours later, then met at Applebee's and sat in a back booth. I started off the conversation telling both of them how very sorry I was for hurting both of them and putting both of them through so much emotional anguish by not being able to decide who I wanted to be with, because in actuality, I loved both of them.
Oh.
With Deanne sitting there, I told my wife about our sexual encounter at Deanne's apartment. That one day at her apartment in February is the only time I have been to her apartment for many months. I also told Deanne that I am not in love with her anymore and only want to be with my wife.
What did they
Deanne insisted that I was lying and that Andrea cannot make me happy. Deanne and Andrea said some heated words, and I told them both to chill out. At that point, Deanne very abruptly stood up, threw a glass of water at me, and left. The next morning, she saw me at work in the lobby, but I completely ignored her and gave no eye contact or communication with her. When I turned around, she was gone. Approximately 15 minutes later, a coworker told me she saw Deanne crying and throwing her stuff in a bag and was saying that she couldn't handle this and was going to put a restraining order against Andrea and I. On Friday, March 11th, when I got to work at 7 a.m., I was immediately directed to go up to HR for a meeting with my supervisor,
I look like one of the fat boys, don't
the
mean I am
director
one.
of employee relations, and my supervisor's boss. I can't see you. All I see is a red screen.
You can continue. It's
okay.
Okay. The issue.
I'd rather not look at her.
I was told that many serious allegations had been brought against me by Deanne: harassment, stalking, sexual and professional misconduct, parking by her in the garage, coworker social media to contact her, letting my wife into ER with intent to harass Deanne, distracting Deanne at work, etc. I was placed on a paid administrative leave while a very thorough investigation was conducted for a week. Utilizing cameras in ER, in the parking garage, and interviewing a multitude of employees. After a week, I was then called and had a video conference with my supervisor, the HR manager of the hospital, and the director of employee relations. I was told that the investigation is complete and closed. The allegations made against me were not proved, unsubstantiated, and not collaborated with. I am 100% free and released to work again and to go back to my schedule in ER.
I don't think
Further, there is no disciplinary action to be made against me. I am simply advised to keep all future interactions with Deanne on a strictly professional level. I had sent a text message to Mandy Smith immediately following the Applebee's incident. This is the same person Deanne used a multitude of times to try to contact me after I had blocked her.
Like this video,
I told Mandy how bad I felt for how much Deanne is hurting, and that I hope Deanne finds someone to love her as she deserves, and I never talked to Mandy again.
Dildo.
I have never threatened, been violent, had malicious intentions, acted towards or otherwise put Deanne in harm's way or her car or her home. Her safety around me is not an issue. Harassment, stalking, safety allegations have all been thoroughly and completely proven false by hospital cameras and interviews with employees. Deanne is hurt, angry, feels betrayed, and bitter about me not choosing to be with her. That doesn't make me a threat. That's all I have to say.
Okay, thank you.
Wow.
Okay, and then Ms. Graham,
that's a mouthful.
If you had more to add, you're welcome to.
Yes. Just remember, you two, you're under oath. In Applebee's, Andrea looked me right in the eye and said, "I can kick your ass." And I said to her, "You know what? You are not worth going to jail over, and you are not worth me losing my job over. And yes, I will protect myself and defend myself if she thought that she could beat me up." Yes, I said it back, but that was that. And I, Your Honor, have a lot more text messages, but Cheryl decided to get in my phone and delete all those messages off my phone because she knew that it was going to come to this. And Your Honor, this is the third time that she's done this.
He does this.
She will not leave me alone. There is a reason she's working in the emergency room.
Let
and
them
she
work
has
it
told
out,
me
you know?
that she won't let me go
Why hasn't
And
her work
she
separated?
wanted to be able to see me without her wife knowing. And I cannot handle the stress with her being there at all. And she promised me that she would quit from there. And she hasn't. Your Honor, I'm just asking for you to have her moved to a different screener position so I can do my job. And yes, when Andrea's daughter was there, it's part of my job, Your Honor, to call people back to the room. The nurse had asked me, call the next person. And I said, well, I will, but this is like a conflict of interest. So I tried, she didn't come. I explained to the nurse everything. I said, it's a conflict of interest. I'm not getting in her chart. I want nothing to do with her. And Your Honor, that day it was really busy in there. There was a loudspeaker notice for anybody in the emergency room that is not a patient was asked to leave. We should not have to go out and tell every single person that they need to leave.
Deanne, your allegations against me were already proven false by the hospital. I worked at the hospital. I worked at the hospital with Andrea having full knowledge that I was working there, that there was a very high possibility of me seeing you. She's the one that gave me the green light to work there.
She's giving you a red light right now.
Andrea's sitting right next to me.
Fine. That's fine, Your Honor. In the text messages that she deleted off my phone, she knew, or she told me Andrea didn't think that we worked that close, that I was in the back and she was up front. Yes, I have to go out front sometimes and work. And yes, part of my job is going out and calling people back. Taking care of the lobby in pit. That was my job for the day. I never once made eye contact with them. Yes, I had to put people right next to her because there was nowhere else to put people. And there was a gentleman that was sitting on the bench next to them that I had to take him back for an EKG and bring him back. And we can pull the footage if you need to see that. And my boss even said that I did not harass her. I did not do anything to her. And the only reason that Cheryl wants to be there, Your Honor, is because of me.
Like my job.
No, you could have chose any job in Vancouver. And you chose to come to my hospital.
How do you know?
In my department.
Could be the only
and I
place you got
finally
a job
got the
offer.
truth out of you when you told me that you chose that so you could see me without your wife knowing. And you could see me every day. And when I'm out there, all you do is stare at me. I look up from my computer and you're staring at me. I walk out to call somebody and she's staring at me. It's got to stop. It's causing problems at my job. And I've been there 19 years. She's been there 3 months. She can move to a different area in the hospital if she wants to be there. But why should I have to face this every day when I've told you I want you to leave me alone? And go away. You told me that you cannot let me go.
You know you want me still.
I have no problem doing my job and being professional at work.
It causes me great anxiety and stress because
that's not my problem.
It is your problem. You've caused this, Cheryl. You've caused all of this.
How is he letting them talk to each other in court?
Continues.
No, I'm not. And Andre, you're the one that freaking texted me first. I want to know why my wife is at your house. You're the one that reached out to me both times, and I sent him the text.
She told her that stuff about working there because she works there. Just
you can't control your wife. You can't keep her happy, evidently, and she keeps having to run back to me. I can't take it no more.
Your Honor, is this going to be an arguing match? Because this is not what I want. We're not getting anywhere here.
I just want her to go away and leave me alone, and we won't have an issue.
Right.
She's saying.
I think I've heard enough. So, first of all, with regard to the cause number ending in 5-3, that's Ms. Graham versus Andrea Island. in that case, I'm dismissing it. And the reason is, one of the things I could look at in terms of a course of conduct is whether the respondent's course of conduct appears designed to alarm, annoy, or harass the petitioner. It seems to me virtually every communication from Andrea to Ms. Graham was, I mean, she's understandably emotional about what's going on. I don't know, not really emotional, understandably upset, I guess I should say is more accurate, about what's going on. And everything I've seen seems to be the purpose of that is to find out what's going on with her wife and somebody else. So I can't very well say that's harassment. I mean, I guess it could turn into that, but from what I've seen, I just don't see that as being the case. So cause number ending in 5-3, and that's Graham v. Andrea Island, is dismissed.
Thank you.
And then for the other cases, for cause number ending in 5-7, that's Ms. Andrea Island versus Deanne Graham. I mean, that the big one there is really the Applebee's kind of explosion, I guess, or confrontation. I mean, I wasn't there, so it's hard for me to really visualize it, but it sounds like it was, whatever it was, it didn't end well. That's really the issue there, and it's one incident, and otherwise there was some back and forth communication looking at the text messages here, but I just can't conclude that's a course of conduct. I mean, I think I'd like to think that was a genuine attempt to resolve some issues that went sideways, but
real
I can't say it's a course of conduct that was going on. So that is dismissed. Cause number ending in 5-7.
Wow.
The last one is Ms. Graham versus Cheryl Island. That was kind of hard because I think, practically speaking, if I were to grant a protection order, it'd probably solve a lot of problems, because it seems like you really shouldn't have contact with each other, and it's really messing up a lot of other things that's going on in your life. You don't need to tell you this, you know it. But I don't know that it's really harassment. I mean, I don't know that what I'm looking at is really harassment so much as unpleasantness between two people that have had, probably still have feelings for each other
in front of us.
And I don't really think it is a course of conduct that really amounts to harassment. I'm not saying it's not serious, but I just don't think it meets the definition. So I'm going to dismiss that case.
Should we kiss each other right here on camera so she can see it?
Open between everybody. I would just hope that you're not going to have contact with each other. I'm hoping that you've got everything worked out, or you will, because frankly, you all seem like very nice people, very pleasant. I would be happy to know each and every one of you, but
I'd love to go to Applebee's
really,
with you
it's
guys.
just not working as well being in communication with each other. So,
with her right front and center, working with me every day.
I know that. I'm sure that's difficult, and I'm hoping maybe your employer can offer some relief in terms.
Deanna, she doesn't want you. You're pillow princess.
There's 3 other places she could go.
But it sounds like they've addressed that already. I'm hoping they'll further address it. But in terms of what I can do, I just don't think I'm in a position to offer any kind of resolution to that, unfortunately. So
it has been addressed already, Your Honor.
Nobody wants you there, Cheryl.
Wow, thank you.
We'll send each of the parties a document.
Such a baby.
Everybody thinks you're a skank.
Really, nobody got what you wanted. You all have the right to appeal. You can do that by checking.
It's okay.
I will. I'll be appealing.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Your Honor.
Okay, thank
You're
you.
unappealing.
Okay.
Don't worry.
Hope you're happy.
Andrea, do it, Andrea. I know you want. I know.
I hope you're happy.
And
damn.
Wow.
Oh my God. He does let them go back and forth. He does.
But that's part of. I think that's part of harassment court, though.
Anderson,
to see if somebody can get worked out without all the fighting and things like that. But wow.
I think that he does that on purpose, though, to kind of let them.
He really does. He doesn't lose control. He kind of sits back and lets them go a little bit. Because you get right away a feeling, you don't know what people are doing.
Murray and Parker, that was a
surrender.
I don't see that there was service.
It's insane.
It really, because at first you're like, oh, Deanna's the poor thing. And then she's busy doing this the whole time.
Well, do you remember, if I'm not mistaken, and you guys probably remember a little bit better than me, weren't we kind of pulling for her?
Yes, that was
right.
There were two of them in there, but
right?
they're both like the old
last
ones,
week.
So I don't think it.
We were like, oh man, Andrea
is
from
February 16th.
BT. But wasn't shit? Was I wrong, Creed, to remember that Andrea? That Cheryl and Deanne were together last week.
Yeah, that was confusing last week.
Somebody was there with Deanne.
Yes,
because I could have swore she said Cheryl's here with me, and then all of a sudden now Cheryl, jumped over to the other team.
Damn.